It is 7:03 p.m. on December 16th, 2025, and we're now meeting with the Capital Budget Committee of Sherborn, Massachusetts. One of the first items on the agenda is to go over past meeting minutes. And the meeting minutes we'll be considering today are actually from a February 18th, 2025 meeting for the last fiscal year. And does anybody have anything to add, edit, or comments on these meeting minutes? And I'll give everybody a little bit of time just because we're looking over on the electronic devices.
Just get rid of the minute going down. Minutes of 2/12/25 through. Just change it P to F.
I wrote them. So yes.
I'm sorry, were those sent out or are we supposed to have them somewhere?
Corey had circulated them previously electronically.
On November 15th.
And let me just double check to see if you were.
She was.
She was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when were they circulated?
November 15th, 2025.
November, okay. Ah, got them. Thank you.
Do you have any edits or comments?
No, just what I just saw. Little typo.
Well, what's the little typo?
It was the second line, the second section where it said in the very beginning after meeting called to order at 7:08, minutes of 2:12. Not just a little typo.
So changing the word PF to OF in the second line where it says minutes. I believe that's
That was it. It's just a small
little
thing.
Scrivener's error. Anything else?
No.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for February 18th, 2025 as proposed?
So moved.
Edit. Do I hear a second to that?
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes as edited?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 3-0 on that meeting minutes. Okay, I'd like to turn our attention to the first sort of substantive issue. Well, actually, before we begin, does anyone have any business that they'd like to raise before we get to the agenda items?
Got it.
All right, hearing no proposal for new business, let us begin with the first item on the agenda, which is to hear from the chief or the representative from the fire department to talk about the proposed capital budget items dealing with fire.
Great, thank you. Are you, I was told to be prepared to discuss past items.
Yes. Yeah, so I think it probably makes the most sense to update us on where sort of outstanding or previously appropriated capital budget items are. Yep. So we can look back, see the present, and then see ultimately the future. So I appreciate whoever said that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And so can you, I know the ambulance is one big item. I don't know how many additional items you think?
Yeah, I just have two that are still on the books. We have turnout gear, which is from a year and a half ago. And we have a $1,400 item from our CPR device from last year. The turnout gear number that's still in the account is 34,000 and change, which was is about half of what was appropriated. I've got a couple questions on it, rightfully so, because at the time, we were going to kind of move forward with the gear kind of quickly. A couple weird things kind of happen with that. Some people may know or they may not. Our gear contains PFAS. You've heard about PFAS a lot for water supply purposes, but our gear contains PFAS. Virtually all fire gear manufactured before a couple years ago does. It's not the type of, again, it's sort of for lack of a better term, a different type of PFAS. Our gear, if it gets exposed to high heat at some point, gives off PFAS, and the type of PFAS it gives off, it actually becomes airborne, and our people inhale it. We went through this for this gear article, and right around the same time, there were some proposed changes with OSHA regulations coming out, and the fire department falls under OSHA. Mass is, as of 2019, it's an OSHA state, so we have to follow OSHA regulations. So OSHA hasn't updated their fire department. They call it the fire brigade standard since 1986. About a year ago, some big proposals came down the road. It's still, Congress actually held it up. It looked like it was going to be passed. And one of the proposals coming down, one of the regulations coming down was you have to buy PFAS-free gear, and you have to replace what you currently have. So, and again, this is about roughly a year ago. So I belong to a number of chief associations. A number of us, some municipalities had six or seven figure numbers for gear. They held off on purchasing it because, hey, I don't want to spend this money on gear that we might have to replace in a couple of years. That whole talk has since cooled down, and as an update, we're actually now buying PFAS-free gear. So we have 7 sets on order. That account will have less than $1,000 in it after the 7 sets arrive. Because it's PFAS-free, because there's a lot of fire departments ordering PFAS-free now gear, it has extended lead times. So it's sort of, if you will, been spoken for. So
it's been ordered but not invoiced, I guess?
Exactly. Once it comes in, they'll send us an invoice.
Okay.
So we expect it around February.
And I'm just trying to remember the number of kits that you were contemplating getting. I think it was to replace some
Yep.
for particular members, and then it was also to get sort of general, sort of off-the-shelf stuff that could be pulled for backup or something like
Exactly.
that by many members. Is that right?
Yeah. So we basically had, because of the cost escalation in the industry in general, and particularly for the PFAS-free gear, which is more expensive than regular gear, we'll probably be down a set and a half from our original ask. So we were originally, I think it was 12 or 13 sets. So
Okay.
we'll be in the 11 or 12 range in total, with the stuff that we did already purchase from that account and what's coming.
And the stuff that you previously purchased did include PFAS?
Yeah. Basically, when that whole project started, that was the timeline when a lot of those OSHA things came out. So we ordered about half of it. Within a month of that, the OSHA conversation happened again in all of our fire chief associations. Congress did hold it up. It's still going through review. So we're waiting on that. But we do think that if that comes out, pretty likely that we'd be able to go for grants to replace what we have or what we need, or they'd make some funding available based on conversations I've heard. At least there's no guarantee for that, certainly. But
So how many total sets of gear with PFAS are there?
do we have about 40, 35 to 40.
Okay. So having to replace all of them at once would be
It'd be a big bill. Luckily, if you look at what has PFAS in it now, like in a couple years, we're going to start replacing what we already have anyways based on their expiration date, if you will. Gear structural firefighting gear can only be used for 10 years. It's not an OSHA regulation, but OSHA refers to NFPA. It's an NFPA regulation, National Fire Protection Association. Our firefighters, if they have one glove that's over 10 years old, they can't take an academy class. That's how strict that is. Huge liability for the town too, if we're gear that's not compliant.
Do you have a sense on whether or not there are members that will be like, why am I getting the PFAS gear when that guy over there got the
Well, everybody already
PFAS
has
gear?
it. Everybody already had,
Well, I know when the new
PFAS gear,
7 comes in.
that'll be PFAS free. I think they understand. I mean, we have a good group and they're logical. I think they understand that, hey, we can't foot the bill for $250,000 worth of gear right now. They're pretty supportive. We have taken measures to reduce the risk down there. We have a new washing machine that washes the gear after fires. We have a dryer where, we do have some backup sets now. So where before, they'd go to a fire and, they might wash it, they might not. The problem with, we had a washer, we've had a washer for a long time, didn't have a dryer. So our firefighters are really dedicated. They don't want to miss fires. So, if they go to one, they don't want to miss another one. If it happens 24 hours later, a lot of them wouldn't wash the gear, and we've really changed that. So overall, I'd say the health and safety risk has improved. But
The volatility of the PFAS in the gear, is that something, it's dangerous when inhaled? And so if people are using their respirators anyways, hopefully they
Yeah.
wouldn't be inhaling it?
yeah, most of the time when our firefighters are in the gear, they're not in a respirator. I'd say north of 90% of the time. Like if they go to an auto accident,
Right.
they're not wearing a respirator. If they go, we had a small
But the gear
fire.
is hopefully not getting heated up too, right?
Exactly, yeah. The problem is with the gear is if it gets heated up once for the future of it, like north of a few hundred degrees, the moisture barrier in it for the rest of that gear's life can shed PFAS. So the whole industry is finding that out. There is an absorption risk too for our members wearing it.
Skin.
Yeah, so, and a number of other things. So again, it's an industry thing, not a Sherborn specific thing.
Sure.
But it got held up again. Quincy went to PFAS-free gear. They hired an outside testing company. They tested it. It still had PFAS. Turns out that the product is PFAS-free, but the manufacturer in England, in Scotland, miscalculated the rolls that they needed or something, and they end up accidentally using rolls with PFAS at the fabric. Quincy filed a lawsuit. Also put the brakes on the whole gear thing. This was in the spring of this past year, but now everything's been rectified and the industry is moving forward with PFAS-free gear.
Okay, so the sort of need at the time was I think not critical, but was
Yeah.
acute.
Yeah.
And you guys have been able to struggle along okay with like half the order coming in, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically, everybody that needs gear there has some. We have a couple backup sets, not as many as we'd like. We do. We have one member that's in a PFAS-free set now, so that our this actually helps with the increased cost. The manufacturer that we buy our gear from did give us a free set to try, so to demo, if you will.
Right.
So, to get a free set of gear.
That's good.
Yeah, something, right? So, yeah,
So far, it's working just fine?
it is. Yeah.
Has it been tested in the fire and?
Yeah, so we're with the same manufacturer that we've been with for about 6 years. Lucky, some of our neighboring towns use the same manufacturer. There's a benefit there because whenever I get a price, I call them, say, what did you get for a price? And then I call the salesperson back and say, give me Framingham's price or Natick's price, but we have a great manufacturer. A lot of our firefighters work for multiple departments and they prefer our gear over where they work typically. So lucky. One of the reasons we buy our gear is, we have a call department. There's generally turnover with that, an organization like that. It's a part-time job. People move.
But the one set of PFAS-free gear, has that been like essentially tested in a fire and it held up?
Not for
okay?
us yet, but it has for other departments.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Got it. Okay, so that's a good update. Does anyone have Any questions about the gear and,
No,
okay. All right, should we turn to
The
is
rest
it
of the-
the ambulance or is it
No.
one other,
So I wasn't gonna really, that ambulance,
just has a long tail,
it
right?
just has a long order time, build time, if you will. So we expect it in the summer of 2027. So I think July, August, September timeframe. So
Okay, and
that was planned.
is there any other outstanding items then?
No.
Okay. All right, shall we turn our attention to fiscal year 2027 proposals?
Yeah, we should. I'm ready to start when you are.
Why don't we go with to be honest, all of these are actually under our dollar threshold, so I'm gonna call them, what is it, the clever turn of phrase, something like large, non-capital item,
Yeah.
not capital,
Non-recurring,
yeah.
non-recurring substantial expenditure.
It wasn't designed that way, they're just kind of how things landed, but
Well, it's better that things are less
Yeah.
expensive, right?
yeah.
So we can just start with the engine 3 repairs?
Yeah, so typically wouldn't be a town meeting request, but Engine 3's kind of been an interesting story. Engine 3 is our tanker. It's a 2,500 gallon water tanker. So obviously in a town without municipal water, kind of a big deal for us. Engine 3 is in March. It'll be 22 years old in March. Engine 3, so I've been the chief for 6 years. Sherborn's typically replaced structural fire trucks at around 20 years. They've kept up with it over the years. Engine 3 was already on the capital plan for replacement. Post-COVID, fire truck costs have doubled or tripled. And because of that, we've pumped the brakes on replacing Engine 3. Out of what we have for a fleet, it's one of our better trucks to begin with, just from when it was built and the way it was spec'd and designed by the department. So Engine 3, though, again, with its age, has had a couple of issues come up. What I would call non-preventable, we working with DPW and other shops that we use, we do good maintenance on the apparatus, but with its age, some things have popped up, and the thing that we're trying to solve with this is corrosion. So about a year ago, little over a year ago, we started to notice some substantial corrosion on Engine 3, and it kicked off a pretty long process in which we determined what we would do, because the first shop that truck went to, they recommended replacement to the tune of $1.2 million. And that's a fire truck repair shop that's pretty reputable. So we started there. We then reached out, Sean was involved with this too. We reached out to a number of shops, other fire chiefs, mechanics, what have you. I personally, in the process, had conversations with no less than 20 people. So it was a lot of them, depending on where they were in the Commonwealth, whether they had a shop that would fix something like that, and what their depending on what their past experiences were different shops. A lot of them said, you should replace it. Most chiefs, most fire departments, I hate to say it, they would take the opportunity to replace it, because there's a good story there, for that to happen. But there was what we thought was a crack in the frame also, which is why that shop initially said we should replace it due to liability and all that. So through a bunch of research by Sean and I, we did find a shop that would fix Engine 3. They're in Woburn, so not very local, somewhat harder to find for that reason. After we found that shop and it came recommended from people, I talked to 4 or 5 chiefs that have had trucks fixed there for similar issues. And they all, again, came back with high praise for that particular shop, which is Palmer Spring in Woburn.
Is there an actual crack though, or?
No. So what happened is we brought it to Palmer Spring, and they put it on the lift. They assessed it for a couple hours, and at the time when we saw what we thought was the crack, is the mechanic at Bulldog and Hopkins, and he didn't want to dig out the crack, if you will, to expose it more, to maybe hasten it getting speed up it getting worse, for lack of a better term. We took it to Palmer Spring, and there actually is no crack. Still significant corrosion, but it's a repair that they make somewhat regularly. A lot of shops don't want to touch fire trucks because there's a lot of liability in fire apparatus repair. There's been a number of cases in Massachusetts with serious lawsuits and what have you. They're kind of unique vehicles, designed to kind of go a little quick and get the things and operate differently than normal trucks, But that shop gave us a quote for $19,000 and change. Our request is for $24,000 and change, just for some contingency. I think it makes a lot of sense to put some extra dollars in that. That truck also needs some pump repairs due to corrosion. That's going to go through a reserve fund transfer because per our pump mechanic, that needs to be done sooner than the frame, before town meeting. Just to prevent any further issues. It's something that they want to work on sooner rather than later. They're coming back our pump mechanic's coming back one more time soon to just give it another look, and then we're gonna come before the advisory and the.
So, can you continue to use the pump truck or engine number 3 once the pump is fixed? Is it going to continue to be in your fleet, or is it something?
It's going to continue to be in the fleet. So the goal of these repairs are to extend the life of that truck to 30 years old.
Okay.
So, and we think we can do that. Obviously, unexpected things happen in our line of work. It's kind of, part of it.
It's currently 21 or so years old?
It'll be 22 in March.
All right. So you're basically getting hopefully 8 years out of this work?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just for planning purposes, for this committee, you'll see a request in 4 or 5 years for engine 3 because it takes 3 years to get one.
Right.
But I get asked about the fleet size a lot, rightfully so. We have a couple extra trucks because we don't have water in this community. And engine 3 is one of them. But it's somewhat our primary initial fire. All the fire trucks have water. The engine has 1,250 gallons, and engine 3 pulls up, they tie in, and they keep feeding the engine while we lay a supply line to one of our 21 dry hydrants that we have in town. So, but.
Sure.
So just 2 questions, actually.
Yeah.
Who's asking the questions? Which the general public are asking why there's so many? Or
No, it's just a
not
question
enough?
we've gotten throughout my time, and it's normal. You know what I mean? I think for any fire department to get, but if you look at our department compared to like a Medfield, people ask, why do we have the same number of fire trucks as Medfield when they're a bigger town?
Okay, that's all right.
Which is a reasonable question. The difference is that they have water throughout their community.
And then my second question was mutual aid. How does that affect mutual aid? Do the other towns have water trucks? Or?
The only town that borders the town of Sherborn with a tanker is Dover.
Okay.
Big challenge because I come from Upton. Half of Upton didn't have water. The good thing about Upton and 95% of towns in Mass that don't have water is they're surrounded by other towns that don't have water. So like Upton has 4 neighboring tankers, we have 1, which is Dover. So we go to Norfolk, Medway, Hopkinton for a second one. That's a bit of a ride, you know what I mean? So we start them early. We start mutual aid tankers on the report of a fire because of that, which is a industry best practice, but that's one of our big challenges is again, most towns that don't have water are surrounded by other ones that are in a similar boat. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so.
What was it?
Oh, I'm just breathing.
Oh. Between my 2.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So the vendor here, Palmer Spring, right?
Yep.
Not somebody that you've used before, but some other towns and chiefs that you've talked to have used them. And
Yes.
okay. And then it's like a bonded repair shop, right? So that,
Yeah.
okay.
Been in business like 150 years,
Yep.
literally.
And the repairs would then take the engine out of service for a few weeks.
A couple of weeks, yeah.
All right.
So,
Do you get to borrow that truck from Holliston, or how does it matter?
Dover?
Or Dover? Well, it's the water truck.
They don't loan that truck.
I know. I figured out Dover one, but remember there was. I guess it's the water, so you need.
It was mostly ambulances that we borrowed. Mm-hmm. The problem is Dover, I don't think they'll let us borrow their tanker, you know what I mean, in case they have a fire. So what we do,
happy to bring it.
Yeah, they bring it. So, I mean, I'll just give you an example. You know, engine 3 was out of service for a couple days. I forget exactly how long, like 3 months ago. We get a reported possible fire on Old Orchard Road. And leaving my house, we start 3 of them when engine 3's out immediately. So we have Norfolk, Medway, and Dover on the way, you know, immediately going out the door before we're even there. Because it takes time, you know, to get the things here, you know. But so we just call for extra help right away.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions, or anybody in the online on the Zoom? Laura, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to add before we consider this project?
It's pretty rare for us to bring a repair forward. The reason being, Jeremy couldn't be here. I know he's at all these meetings, but he couldn't be here tonight. I was going to bring this also as a reserve fund transfer, but he preferred to leave some money in the reserve fund. He said, just a financial planning for the town. He thought it would be better to bring it to town meeting, which I'm fine with.
So reserve funds, there's not one specific for fire though, right?
No, it's for the whole
general.
town.
Okay.
Exactly. So we don't want to take up too much of that just for this fire truck. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, again, that's not specifically a capital request, so it comes under the substantially non-recurring substantial expense.
Expenditure.
So and I think because, at least in terms of concept, it would be using free cash, so would require the town meeting vote. But in terms of what we've heard about the project, I mean, extending the life of the truck for upwards of 8 years, just amortizing 1.2 million over 8 years. I mean,
Yeah.
This is obviously a tremendous savings to that. Do I hear any motion?
I make a motion to approve. Let me just pull it up, sorry. I just want to pull up the exact one for the
It's your fire engine 3
Fire-
repairs.
Yeah, fire engine 3 repairs in the amount of 24,600.
Second.
All right, so all in favor of recommending to the town the appropriation of $24,600 for fire engine 3 repairs, say aye.
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 All in, no, so it's 3-0. And, all right, so the next one on my list here is a thermal imaging camera. And request is for $22,150. So once again, not a specific capital budget item, but go ahead, Chief.
So I brought some props. Usually our items are too big to bring in this room, but I brought some with me tonight just to help explain what we're trying to do.
Trying to find all the marijuana grow.
What's that?
You want to find all the places where they're growing illegal plants or something?
I already know where they all are. It's the benefit of going on 911 calls, no, I'm not kidding. But so we're looking for money to replace one thermal imaging camera, which is one similar to this big one that I have here. And then we're also looking for money to purchase 12 of these smaller ones, and I'm going to tell you why. So Worcester Cold Storage, it was a fire that happened in Worcester like 26 years ago. It kind of changed our industry, our job, for in terms of the benefits of thermal imaging, and it's become standard, a national standard for fire trucks to have thermal imaging cameras on them. So right now in our fleet, every structural fire apparatus has a thermal imaging camera similar to this. So this is one of our big, what I would call like like actual structural firefighting thermal imaging cameras. This is the one from Ladder 1. Engine 4's camera is over 10 years old, and this meeting's really timely. So it's needed a bunch of repairs. These go for something like $7,000 a piece. I have a quote in front of me. So 6,000 and change. Engine 4s malfunctioned 12 days ago, and it's at a repair shop right now. I just got a quote to fix it today for $1,600. And again, that before that issue happened, it was already on docket for replacement. So I'll just touch on the other cameras really quickly, and then I'll let you fire away if you don't mind. So the industry standard has become to not just have one thermal imager per fire company. A fire company is a fire truck, so 3, 4, or 5 firefighters respond on a fire company and operate at a fire. The industry standard is becoming every firefighter that goes into a burning building has a thermal imaging camera. It's becoming more the norm. There's a couple of ways that fire departments do this. They buy smaller cameras like these, which is what we want to buy, or now with the SCBA masks that we wear, they can install cameras in those. So there's 2 problems with that. So we looked at both. If we were to do cameras in the masks, we'd have to put them in everybody's mask because they're installed. It's not something you remove and give to somebody else, if you will. There's also extreme maintenance costs with those. They have a lot of problems, and they're known to have a lot of problems. These are the seat cameras. They go for about $1,200 a pop. There's a number of fire departments around us that use them regularly. I've actually used one of these in Millis. This is a Millis camera at a full-blown, real, intense structured fire, and they're really good situational awareness cameras. So if you need to find a door or window, your way out, find a person, they're really great for that. So our goal is to purchase 12 of these units, and we're going to put them on the air packs for our frontline attack fire trucks. So basically, we'll still have these in the trucks for the officer, and then the firefighters in the back, they're pulling hose lines or throwing ladders and going to the building that way. We'll also have a camera. Another thing that we run into is, we have a great fire department. We will typically, it can be challenging, but typically there's enough people that show up. But sometimes if you're engine 4, our first due fire truck, and you're there for 5 minutes before our ladder truck shows up, people can split up. It happens all the time. We mutual aid. We just went to a fire in another neighboring town 3 weeks ago, and we sent 5 of our people in, and they go down the end of the hallway. 3 go to the right, and 2 go to the left. So the 3 on the right have a camera, but the 2 on the left don't. Which can be a problem. So we're just looking to put these in the hands of more firefighters in the fireground.
So just out of curiosity, the big one is one that you take into the structure. Then you don't sort of look at it from the outside to say.
Both of these are for in the structure. This is more like it's like a fire attack camera, like the officer's holding it as they're advancing a line, down the hallway, where the other firefighters that are working can't really hold a camera in their hand. It just needs to be clipped to them. But if they get into trouble, if they get lost, they become disoriented, they can become low on air. If they need a door or window, they're looking for a victim, they're looking for their officer, another firefighter. It's more like a situational awareness camera where instead of them holding it for most of the time, it's clipped to them. They can just pick it up and go, oh, there's the door, or oh, there's the window. You know what I mean? Most firefighting is done, actual firefighting is done in like no to very low visibility.
Smoky.
Fires are smoky. So
Hot.
they are hot.
So it doesn't, they're obviously sensitive enough that just the heat of a fire doesn't wash them out. Like if you're inside of a burning room, you can still effectively use that and say, okay, that's the cool window.
Any of our equipment has an upper limit. Everything does. The weakest point of us is the radio mic, which go at like 500 degrees, but these cameras are rated for something like 1,000. These are rated for about 800. So,
And there's not concern that they snag or get
nothing
heavy or anything like that, right?
They're basically like the size of a cell phone, which makes them very user friendly.
There's no PFAS in them.
Not that I know of. No. Yeah. But the first big department in the country to go with these for every firefighter was LA, and then a number followed suit. That happened 5 or 6 years ago. this actual product. And now I think 3 or 4 of our neighboring communities employ them, and others might maybe have the camera and the mask, or they're going to these same devices.
So is there like a approved state list for this type of thing that you're buying
Yes.
them off of?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on. Yeah, it's actually on the quote.
Okay.
Yeah,
You said there were 1,200?
yeah, they're
$12.99.
1,300. My apologies. Yeah, I think I said 12 and change. My bad.
And how much, what's the number that you're going to,
So 12 of these and 1 of these.
and that one would be essentially engine fours
It's going to
replacement?
replace engine 4s. Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
How do they pick up an exit route? Is it a lower temperature
Yeah. So
image?
these like this exactly. So these cameras work differently. So this camera will pick up actual heat. This camera will heat in an atmosphere. This camera will pick up surface temperature readings. But you can make out objects in a room with these, unless the room's fully involved. But I hate this. You wouldn't be looking at the camera anyways at that, unfortunately. So yeah. But yeah. So.
So forgive me, is it actually that piece, or is it, you said there's one that's internal, like
This
it's,
is an internal one. We don't want to go that route because we'd have to buy 45 of them
yeah, okay.
because every firefighter would need one.
So it's similar to that, just a little slimmer. Essentially.
Same price, smaller, 10 times the maintenance cost. So 10 times the maintenance cost.
No, I mean, the one that the $12.99 one,
Yeah, it's this one. Right here.
it's actually that,
Exactly.
that
This is
exactly.
the one.
This is the one, okay.
They don't have the meta glasses
And
yet.
it smells like smoke because Millis just fought a fire in Medway yesterday. So yeah, but it's clean. So and that's the proposal for that.
Any other questions?
Do you anticipate things like prices going down on, how long have those been out?
5 or 6 years. They've gone up a little bit. This is the second model that's come out for this type of camera. This is the C2, I believe. I don't expect prices to,
Go down?
unfortunately, ever go down in most cases.
Well, like, TVs, things like that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will say that 20 years ago, these were 25,000 a piece.
Yeah.
And now they're 7. So I now I know I'm picking up what you're putting down, if you will. But yeah, so they have gone down substantially. But most at 25 years ago, a fire department would do a fundraiser to buy one, and get through the town or whatever. And but now they've gone down. It's the industry standard to have more.
And then what about the grant situation? I mean, can you get grant?
Yeah, grants. So we're I will say we've been, I don't want to say less lucky, but yeah, I will say less lucky over the last year or so than we have the previous 5. A couple of reasons for that. One of our biggest grant programs went away through the Commonwealth. It was on a 5 or 6 year bond bill, and that grant program is gone. It was one of our typical annual grant awards through the Department of Fire Services. The other issue that we run into is this. So each grant program has specific criteria, and they all have different high priority items. Most grant programs, if you don't apply for a high priority item, you don't get the grant. You know what I mean? They have medium grade of stuff and low grade of stuff. Most grant programs, they never get to the medium priority items. It depends on the grant program, but I'm just trying to give you some.
Well, what's a high priority?
It depends on the grant. So, like, for instance, SCBA, which is another request here, is high priority for FEMA. But the issue that we're running into is through these same grant programs, we've already replaced like most of our eligible high priority items through them. Like for air packs, like we're asking for 1 air pack in bottles. We got a couple, I forget the exact dollar amount, I apologize. 4 or 5 years ago, we got a couple 100,000 to replace, 70% of our air packs. We're still getting, we're doing good with the radio grants. So every radio in that fire department, except for about 10 of them, have been replaced over the last 3 years.
Like what you're wearing now?
Yeah, these go for $8,000 a pop. These are designed for firefighters, for high heat, for a firefighter with no visibility to use a glove to communicate, which can be important. But so we're still just as aggressive as we always have been with the grants, but we've gotten comfortable with grants enough. Like, we know what we can apply for and what we can't for different programs. And we spend a lot of time looking into that and applying. I'm lucky we have another person that does apply for some of the smaller grants, but I still do about 3/4 of them, if not 80, 90% of them, depending on the year. But we have been, we're on the downward swing of that this year, but over the last 5 years, we've been very, very fortunate to receive a lot of grant funding.
Thank you.
Still trying. But.
Do I hear any motions on this item?
I have one more question.
Sure, fire away.
Before saying a motion, and I'm sorry, Sean, for holding you up also. At what point does one ever say, we just can't do all this?
What do you mean?
Well, when do you say no to the fire department?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I mean, thank you, that is a good
Yeah,
question.
no, it's one of those things. I mean, we, I think comparatively to other fire departments, we try to be as resourceful as we can. We have a lot of taxpayers on that fire department. I think the things that we ask for are legitimate and vetted. There's a lot of fire departments like ours that have 10 full-time people. We have 2, around the same population size and call volume size, and I think it's always been a resourceful fire department. I think it still is. Like I said, we do try to get grants. I think the things that we ask for are pretty basic. We still get a lot of outside funding, donations and all that. We have an active association. It's hard for me to answer that, I guess.
Okay, no, I'm just,
Yeah, some more context, but yeah.
When you are okay with your house burning down?
No, I'm just saying.
Certainly some loud signal.
I'm not suggesting.
No,
that,
I
I'm
know.
saying.
And when do you do it? I hate to say it, we're somewhat, some of this stuff is heavily regulated, and the town would be liable. In some ways, not completely, but in some ways, the fire department's an insurance policy.
Right.
How much insurance do you want? If you want 10 trained people to come cut you out of your car when you hit a tree, or, to come keep your chimney fire to your chimney so it doesn't spread to your attic, or whatever you want, or come get you when you're having a heart attack, it's up to you, but that's a good question,
If he brought engine 3 in to get replaced this year, I would beg you to say no.
Okay. So that's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
What Sean
Well,
says.
I mean, he found an alternative.
Yeah,
He
no,
found an alternative.
yeah.
Rather than, because he easily could have walked in when the frames got brought on it.
I got to be honest with you, 90% of fire chiefs would have went for a new truck, and I stand by that.
Well, this is good. It's good to have the discussion.
Oh, of course it is.
So people,
Yeah, no, of course it is.
so that we're just not
No, I think
rubber
it's a good-
something everything, because
Yeah.
people want to know.
Somebody's in the waiting room.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, but we
Pam's
don't.
chiming in to say no.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Hi, Pam. Okay. Thank you. So,
That's a good
I make a motion to approve the thermal imaging cameras in the amount of $22,107 from Northeast Rescue Systems.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Corey, you can just raise your hand. You don't need
I
a
think it
verbal.
was from Northeast. Was it from Northeast? I'm sorry, it was the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was?
Yep.
Okay.
so all in favor of recommending to the town to appropriate $22,150 for thermal imaging cameras as discussed. All in favor?
Can we get the amount right? I had here, 22,107.
So the request is probably going to
sorry.
be maybe higher than the quote itself. I have
that's
the
the number I
request
said.
as $22,150.
Okay.
And if it's,
Sorry, I said it wrong. I was incorrect on my amount, so.
uh,
Make a motion of 22,150. Thank you, Corey.
so seconded. So all in favor of the recommending to the town to appropriate that amount for the thermal cameras, say aye, or raise their hands. Aye. 3-0. And approval. All right, so next we have the self-contained breathing apparatus items, and this is 23,400, I believe, is the dollar for the request.
Yes. So this quote is from IPS, Industrial Protection Services. So, so the fire department, again, per national standards, per how we actually use them, every fire truck, every structural fire truck, I should say, has what's called an SCBA unit for every riding position. So if there's 5 firefighters on the fire truck, there's 5 air packs, if you will, for lack of a better term. But so based on what we've needed over the last few years, and based on some of our experiences, our air packs are now 5 years old. They're good for 15 years. It's the number one priority grant funded item through the federal government. It's usually, if I hate to say it, instead of them buying one, it's usually for a batch of them, like what we've done in the past, like 21 or 22 at a time. They're starting to age, and we're having a lot of repairs with them. Creates a couple challenges. For instance, we just had 3 air packs out at once at a repair shop. In addition to that, we regularly have 1 or 2 people in the fire academy. When they're in the fire academy, they have to take an air pack with them in 2 bottles and basically keep it with them throughout their time at the academy. So we end up taking air packs off of the trucks when this happens, when we have a number of them out for repairs, or when we have people at the academy, or both at the same time. So what we're looking to do is to add another air pack to our inventory for these purposes, because we're okay with taking 1 air pack off of a truck, but over the last 6 months to a year, now we're getting into taking 2 air packs off of a truck, and in one case we took 3 air packs off of the truck while some were out of service and while people were at the academy. So we're trying to minimize the amount of time that we take air packs, more than 1 air packs off of the apparatus at a time. So that's what that request is. So we got I think we got over 70% of our air packs done through a grant, and then the town replaced the rest at about the same time. We went a little lower on the request at the time, thinking we could make it do. There was a renewal, but now that they're aging, we need 1 more. And with that, in that same category, we've determined that we really need to add an additional 6 SCBA bottles. I didn't bring an air pack with me, but I brought a bottle. This is what an air bottle looks like. So we're looking to add 6 bottles and then replace some that are expiring. So these are good for 15 years or 3 5-year test cycles. So again, big grant item. We're going to put in for a grant for this request, for this entire request, based on the fact that it's 1 and not a fleet of them, if you will. I don't know how we'll do, but we're going to try. So.
How long do the air packs typically last?
They're good for 15 years.
Oh, the bottle and the air pack.
Bottle and the air pack, yep. So.
And just in terms of how often is somebody at an academy?
So basically, because the academy it's part-time, so it's nights and weekends, it's 4 months long or 5 months long, depending on how the class goes. We always have
at least 1 person.
1 or 2. Right now we have 3, which is rare, but it's usually 2 at a time. We send a few people a year,
Is the turnover that high where you're always training
so
volunteers?
So we have 2 types of employees. We have call employees and per diem employees. The call turnover rate is not high. The per diem turnover rate is. Most of the per diem employees are coming here because they want to be full-time firefighters somewhere. So in the last 12 months, we've had 12 people get hired by full-time fire departments. You know, most of them stay with us when they get hired for up to a year, maybe two. We probably lose a quarter of them right off the bat. You know, but that's how we staff our ambulance with per diem or part-time people, and all, as opposed to hiring full-time people. So it, again, much lower cost to the tune of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it does come with that challenge, you know, where it's a very part-time job. You know, you do turn some more people over.
Are there
rates lower than the industry?
Are there just pure volunteers who don't get paid at all?
No,
So on call is,
everybody gets paid. Yeah.
you get paid for when you're working,
Respond, when you train, stuff like that.
and then per diem, you get paid for the whole day to sort of,
Working the ambulance shifts, exactly.
okay.
Yeah. No, that's a good question. So.
Any other good questions from anyone?
How often do you use them other than?
I would say a firefighter puts on an air pack in Sherborn on an average of every 36 hours. So every day and a half, for investigating certain types of incidents. How often we actually go on air is about every 2 to 3 weeks. Carbon monoxide, gas investigations, fires, certain hazmat stuff, it all depends, you know?
So when you inspect for carbon monoxide, they have to put one of those
It's only
on?
if we find carbon monoxide.
Okay.
And statistically, about half of our carbon monoxide alarms result in carbon monoxide being present, which is a higher number than I ever would have thought. But that is the case. We've had 3 active carbon monoxide calls in the last 6 weeks.
Huh.
Like
With-
one of them with high levels with people with carbon monoxide in their blood levels in the home. So, but yeah. And I'd say our people have put these on 4 times in the last 8 weeks for working fires, whether in Sherborn or mutual aid. So, yeah.
So how long does it last? How many hours? Or?
So we have 45-minute bottles.
Uh-huh.
And typically the rule of thumb is that's just an industry term.
Uh-huh.
But depending on how much that firefighter is working determines how long they have with that air tank.
Uh-huh.
You know, actively combating fire, you might get 20 to 25 minutes out of it. Yeah. And,
Interesting. Thank
yeah.
you.
Yep. No.
It's like when you go scuba diving. If you breathe heavy the whole time, you burst through the air pretty quickly. But if you're just like calm and slowly breathe, then it can last a lot longer.
Yeah. Exactly. So
It's like the people
just depends on what you're doing.
burn through their air.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes for me.
Any other questions on this one? And so I do see on the chart, it's listed at 23,400. And in the write-up, it says 23,360. My view on this is that there's a little bit of a round up to an even number, I think, on the at least on the chart. So
Okay.
I think
see
it makes
now.
sense to go with the number on the chart,
Yes, I
which is,
pulled it up. Thanks.
you know, they're not going to expend the additional $40 if they don't need to.
I make a motion to approve the self-contained breathing apparatus for $23,400.
I see a second-hand motion. All right. All in favor of recommending to the town to appropriate $23,400 for self-contained breathing apparatus, say yay?
Yay.
And yay. So 3-0. And Chief, I think we have one last one, if I'm not mistaken. This is the fire hose nozzle replacement.
Yes, I'm just gonna put so we deploy a number of different types and sizes of fire hose to combat fires, which is typical of any fire department. And we're looking for funds to replace 2 of our what I would call the hose lines that we use the most, which is 1.75 inch, which is for like structural firefighting, car fire, stuff like that. And 1-inch hose, which is for forestry. Couple reasons for this. So we've lost a lot of hose in the last couple of years, especially forestry hose this last year, and a number of lengths of structural hose and actual incidents. And how that happens is they get punctured by different means. It's kind of routine, somewhat routine. Sometimes they get run over by a vehicle. We've had brush hose. We pull up to a brush fire and the fire ignites behind the hose line and it burns the hose. It is somewhat a routine thing to happen. And we're looking to replace and add to our inventory some fire hose and some nozzles, which are also included in this ask.
Is this there's one distributor that you kind of buy all your hoses and nozzles from, or?
Yeah, pretty much, and they're good. We do shop around. They're good.
So this is on our approved state list, essentially?
Yes, yeah. Everything here is, there is one quote that's missing that term, but it is an actual state bid quote, which is the IPS quote.
And hoses, if they're not run over or punctured somehow, what's their sort of shelf life?
20 to 30 years. Depends on what you buy and what happens, but we, the last 5 years or so, we've been buying what's called Mercedes hose. It's not like Mercedes, like the vehicle, obviously, it's just a brand name, and been very good to us. We buy hose where we can operate it at a lower pressure, which is 50 PSI at the nozzle. It allows, so for short-staffed, in the initial stages of a fire, this is the nozzle, you know what I mean? These flow 175 gallons a minute, really hard to hold on to. The term drinking out of a fire hose or whatever comes to mind, but with the lower pressure stuff that we buy, the hose and the nozzles, one person, it's not safe to operate on a fire with one person, but in a pinch, the other person's getting more line, whatever, one person can hold on to these and operate, without getting thrown around and getting hurt.
So was it 2 years ago there was an appropriation for nozzles? Is that right?
That was EV stuff, electric vehicle.
Those are like the blankets and stuff. And
Yeah, yep.
so have you guys used those?
Not the blankets, thank God. We used the nozzle, and we had Sean was
A
driving.
year ago, like 2 days ago.
Like this month, yeah. So we had a car fire on Western Ave. It was a conventional car, but it was not a conventional car fire. The person was driving the vehicle, the car ignited. They didn't have a driver's license. They took off without reporting it. We get called for a car fire. Car pulled over on the side of the road. I was there 2 minutes before them. There was a small fire under the vehicle. I parked my car. I walked back. The car's fully involved. And these guys pull up, and one of our firefighters started knocking the fire down with the nozzle. Something you do in a passenger vehicle fire is you take the hose line at the end and you put it over into one of the windows to put out the passenger compartment. Well, he did that. And there's a 5-gallon can of gasoline in the back seat, and it all splashed on him, and he actually ignited. Not completely or anything, but it was significant enough where we were all running around grabbing fire extinguishers, because you could smell the fuel after he hit that gas tank. He was fine. The gear held up. It did its job. The gas ran through the vehicle, and because there was a gasoline fire under the vehicle, the only safe way to put it out was with one of those nozzles. There was a literal pool of gasoline around that vehicle. We'd use foam, a whole number of other things. It was probably the most interesting
tactical fire
I've ever been to, because of that 5-gallon can of gas in the backseat. So, yeah. So we did use that. Haven't had an EV fire in the last 2 years.
Thanks for bringing that up.
We do not like those EV fires. So we have had one, which was a few years ago. But,
No, I remember that was before your
Yes, that
Just to buy
facilitated
the-
the request,
Right.
so.
But you do get those back on the insurance end, right?
If the blankets,
Mhm.
if we used one, we could, yeah, exactly. So again, we just really had to supply them up front, which was what that request is for. But if we use one on an EV and we declared a hazmat, which EV fires are, then we can go after the insurance money.
So the car insurance.
It's the car insurance company, exactly, yep.
People have other questions about nozzles and fire hoses?
No.
Lost Laura? Can't see her anymore.
We have her, it's just a blacking out
It's not showing
over there.
people that are there.
Doesn't show, I'll change,
Yeah.
I think I can change the view, I'll get to that in a
That's right.
second. So I make a motion to approve the $23,650 for fire hose and nozzle replacements.
Do I hear anybody seconding that motion? I see, seconded by Corey. So all in favor of recommending to the town to appropriate $23,650 for fire hose and nozzles, say aye. Or-
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. All right,
Thank you.
so the last thing, just sort of looking down the road, would put in, or at least somebody had put in, sort of numbers in the 6-year plan. So I guess the big thing is next year, Squad 1 replacement.
Yeah, so that's been in the plan for a while. We left it in there. So when we deal with fire trucks, we form a committee, which we vote for that. I can tell you we're not going to replace the vehicle completely, but there might be some work done to it. That has basically a somewhat removable body on the back. Right now, that truck serves for brush fires and traffic road closures to assist in times of emergency. One thing that we've identified over the last 5 years, which is a big deal to us, is we don't have a vehicle in our fleet which has a good supply of hazardous materials equipment. So a fuel spill, anything like that, any contaminant that quickly gets it onto the ground and runs into people's yards or whatever, like we have the stuff to stop it, but we don't have anywhere to put it on a vehicle, right? Which takes time, which you don't have in one of those situations. It's further complicated by the fact that everybody in this town has a well, you know what I mean? We've talked about it for years. We might just ask for a much smaller sum to do some work to that vehicle to make that a thing, maybe update the body on it. So that way someday when we need to replace the chassis, we'll have a body that we can put on a new chassis and overall save money then also.
And then I see turnout gear in the following fiscal year.
Yeah.
That, like-
Fiscal year.
According to this, it's fiscal year 2029.
Yeah, so we have some gear. We have a large amount of gear that will be hitting the 10-year mark shortly after that. So I think town meeting in May of that year, we looked at we wouldn't purchase it right then because we want to get the rest of the life out of that gear that we have. We'd look after basically January 1st of that year, the way the timing works. But we need to get some money then. Again, gear's depending on how many people put in for it and what other items go for some of the federal grants that we go for. It's a hot ticket item. We've done, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think we've gotten the FEMA AFG grant 4 out of 5 years we've applied, and only 7% of fire departments in the country get them. So we'll certainly try.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I do see engine 3 replacement here for fiscal year 2030, but then the delivery won't be until 2 or 3 years later, and that's when the dollar amount will actually hit.
Exactly.
And the same is for engine 4, and that's fiscal year 32. So
32.
really talking about years in the future before
Years.
that, actually.
Yeah, and the trucks, I've always tried to put them on as somewhat of a worst case scenario, so we hopefully don't get surprised. I'd rather push a truck out a year or two than ask for it 2 years ahead of when it was planned for.
Right.
Here's a quick question. What do you anticipate if the project goes through, which it seems to be slowly making its way on Coolidge?
For the fire department needs,
Yes.
no equipment needs, no big equipment needs. We're gonna need some standpipe packs, but the developer's gonna pay for them.
That was my next question.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's been a few different developers that have had that. I've talked with all of them about it. The cost is less than $10,000
Okay.
for that equipment.
And that includes like the hose, because I would assume if there's public water there, then it's going to be fire hydrants.
Yeah, we have all the stuff for that already.
So they all match all those.
Exactly.
Doodads,
Everything that we have.
nozzles.
That's a good way to put it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The valves that we have and everything, because we use conventional hydrants now.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, like
of
if
course,
there's a
with
fire
mutual
at
aid.
the town line, like for instance, we had a fire at the end of South Main 3 years ago. You know, we used the hydrant in Medfield for that, our fire. But we also use them, like you said, if you go to another town and they need us to pick up a hydrant on the way into their fire, which can happen. We use it for both purposes.
Okay.
So, yeah, good question. But yeah.
You said a standpipe?
Yeah, so if you look at this building.
It would be on
you go
the
up,
roof? That'd be a,
No, it's in the pipes in the staircases. So like if we had a fire up here, if the truck parked outside, our hose lines that are initially set up, we can always add more, but they're 200 feet. So to get the fire through that door, up the staircase and into this room or wherever it is in the building can be challenging on a bigger building. So they have pipe setups in the staircases that are called standpipes. So we can hook up a hose right there and bring the line in from the staircase. So those buildings will have a bunch of them.
and is it, they only go up 3 stories? I'm trying to
3
remember.
stories, yeah.
Was that with an attic on top or like some sort of,
There's 3, I mean, they change a lot, honestly, the renderings, but
yeah,
what I've seen throughout is 3 stories with a peaked roof above it. So
and the ladders wouldn't have any problem getting up there on the ladder truck?
not usually, no. I mean, there's always issues. You know, we have a 79-foot aerial. Most ladders are 100 feet. Most people, you know, they're like, hey, we don't have any tall buildings, right? Like, why do you even need the 79 feet? Well, the problem with ladder trucks is it's not the height of the buildings, it's reach. So wherever you get the rear of that truck to, which is where the ladder comes from, is what you can reach.
Angle.
Big challenge in Sherborn with long driveways. You know what I mean? Huge challenge, you know, logistically, to even sometimes get the engines in, never mind the ladder, you know? So we do some creative driving to get through gates or around stone walls or what have you. But, yeah, our ladder, based on the designs, will reach the 3rd floor of that building in the roof.
And the approach is pretty good fire lane wise, I guess, and
Yeah, we're still working on a lot of that stuff. But yeah, no, we'll make sure that we have access. There's code requirements that they have to meet. So we have to be able to park a fire truck within 50 feet of any entrance to that building or any main entrance. They can be exits on the rear, but it's somewhat complicated. But yeah, so no, but that's going to have hydrants. They're going to be fully sprinklered. Sprinklers save lives, but they don't always save property. So even if you have a fire in a sprinkler building, it's still a full fire department response. They typically contain fires, but they don't fully extinguish them, you know. But then you have a lot of other hazards to deal with when sprinkler goes off, electrical,
right.
tons of other things, evacuating people below the fire because of water. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief before we excuse him? All right. Well, thank you very much. We do appreciate you coming in and sharing with us your sort of past, present, and future. We also took votes on, I believe, every request so far from the fire department. So I don't see any need for you coming back in front of us anytime soon. Obviously, if there's some change, please do provide us updates. Sometimes things come back and, I mean, these are mostly off of the list, but
Yeah.
if something was to change,
Yeah. We'll let
let
you
us
know.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, like if one of your pieces of equipment fails and you need 2 of something, then obviously
Yeah.
that might actually kick it over into a capital budget item too for some of these.
Yeah.
Kind of like riding right at the
I
end.
know. It
Well,
was not designed, you know, our initial request for engine 3 for this year was, I think, 90,000. then it went to 75,000. I think the imagers were at 35,000. And then they went to 25, and the quote came in actually a little lower than we expected when we
Right.
put that in last year. So,
And at some point, as we continue the process, the sort of non-recurring substantial expenditures might not even really come in front of our committee at some point. I think this is sort of a transition. It was, hey, bring all this stuff to us because we have some sort of expertise in vetting this stuff. But you know, we appreciate you coming and providing all this, and we'll continue to sort of put our 2 cents in to the town. But again, this was the idea of that, I think, was transitionary, and so maybe next year, you know, you wouldn't necessarily have to come in front of this committee. But
yeah, sure. So, great. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
In lieu of your PowerPoint, I'm glad you brought,
Yeah, it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually, you know, I hate to say it, usually when I throw PowerPoints up, it just adds like 30 minutes to whatever we're doing. And out of respect for your time, you know, I didn't want to do
Well, this was really quick, thanks.
I know, seriously. So,
Did much better.
I would have been leaving here at 9 if I brought a PowerPoint.
It's an hour and 15 minutes.
You know?
was that good or bad?
that's lengthy.
That's the worst.
You guys have good questions, you know?
Well, you're very informative. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And I think that because these meetings are recorded, it's nice for people to see what you're
Can you
doing.
chime in? Yep. Good.
I didn't bring any props.
Well, that's unfortunate.
You're the prop.
Is it too big to bring?
We wanted you to bring some stormwater. Okay, so pivoting over to DPW, unless there's any interim business that someone wants to bring up. So, Sean, why don't we kind of divide your projects into 2 initial buckets? One that is, you think is ready for the committee to vote on this evening, and those in which the committee might need some more information, or some part of the proposal request needs some additional information. So can you identify for us ones that you think are ready for us to say yay or nay, versus ones that perhaps need some further work?
Well, I think roadway management. you guys
Okay.
Support.
Well, it's not a question of whether or not we should support
Well, you
it.
should be ready to.
Okay, all right, so roadway management will be one we talk about in the first. Well, what
The
about,
truck.
say again?
The truck,
Truck,
dump truck.
okay. Any
Nothing to vote on stormwater, we'll go over that.
Okay, anything else you think is ready for a vote tonight?
No, the presentation for the buildings will start basically Thursday night. We're gonna make a presentation with the select board.
Okay. All right, so just to be clear, we have replaced truck 34 and roadway management. We have recycling center equipment infrastructure. You think that is not,
No, you could do that one too.
okay.
Sorry, I don't have a list.
Sorry, there is the truck, roadway management, recycling center equipment. There's multiple that are sort of called town facilities, infrastructure. One is capital needs assessment and replacement reserve analysis for municipal buildings was recently completed, and so is to fund design and engineering work, I guess. And that's still a question mark about what work needs to be
Well,
funded.
that goes hand in hand with the facilities, and that's gonna be presented on.
And then there's another one that's request is to fund capital repairs and maintenance of the town's 6 municipal buildings, and that, again, is
Right.
probably, and then, all right, so those are the, I think there are 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, sorry.
Oh,
There are 5, and then stormwater, which you can speak to, is a 6th one. And that is just, again, more of a conversation tonight than an actual, you think the vote is
Right,
ready?
because it's technically not an ask. The agenda makes it look like that's an ask, but there isn't.
Okay. All right, so why don't we Why don't we talk about roadway management and truck 34? Then let's sort of talk about past projects that are still either being done in this fiscal year or older appropriations. And then to the extent that anyone still has patience, we'll talk about some other stuff. Does that sound like, I know it's already 8:18 and I sort of promised that we wouldn't keep Corey past her death. So why don't we, roadway management, let's talk about that. The request, if I have it correct, is for $450,000 this year. Is that right?
Actually, what I submitted was 550, but I think you're right. In the chart, it's 450, right? Jeremy pulled that right back.
Right, the chart says 450,
Yeah,
which
it
is,
needs to stay, leave it at 450.
okay. All right, so let's talk about what can be done, what needs to be done with $450,000.
Well, this is a continuation. We obviously we didn't go out and do another roadway assessment. That was done about a year and a half ago.
Sure.
And, essentially what would change if we went and did it, the new roads would show new. So that would tick the CPI, which is the pavement index, up a little bit, but the rest of the roads deteriorate a little bit.
So why don't you tell us essentially what you think it would cost to put the roadways back on that sort of progression and maintenance?
Well, based on the plan, and the estimates that were in there from 24, we're still ramping up to the level that they suggested we need to be at to hold our index, if not try to improve it. So I'm not going to bore everyone with going back all the way through the whole thing, but
I think you generally want to say that even with a $450,000 appropriation, it's
we're
not
not catching.
right.
We're not catching the curve.
And to make sure,
Fortunate this year that the state did end up kicking in almost a double hit for the Chapter 90. It was somewhat of a double-edged sword. It came through 6 months late. So we scrambled to get work done that we held off. We started early in the year assuming we'd get some July 1st money. And we didn't even get approval to spend that money, let alone have it, until I think it was almost October.
can you
Ridiculously late.
inform?
We still, because I was able to, I had the contractor kind of waiting in the wings the whole time, so we.
Well, can you just be a little bit more precise with how much did the Chapter 90 funding come through for fiscal year 26, I guess?
Well, I think it's right in front of me. I got too many things open at the moment. Well, just for rough numbers, a normal year is 263. So I believe it was almost exactly double that. It was a weird formula the way they did it. And it netted out pretty good for us. So we kind of baked the assumption that that'll happen again. But it's state funding. You never know.
Right, so the formula, was it adjusted from fiscal year 25 to 26? They changed the formula to our benefit as a town?
Yeah. Well, no, they use the Chapter 90 formula essentially never changes. And for whatever reason, what they decide to do is they say, all right, we're gonna dedicate, I think it's $300 million. Boom. That's the saying, and they keep not changing it. But then what they'll do is they'll add another 150 million and find a way to, sometimes but on that other 150, they'll use different factors to help. This year, it helped the rural roads a little bit more. That, if you looked at it, we probably got a slightly higher percentage based on what we normally get that Framingham did. It just happened to work out that we just about doubled what we would.
Okay, so upwards
There's
of,
no guarantee that's going to happen.
right, but upwards of $500,000 or so. So how much of that, I know it's cold, middle of winter, snow, how much of that still remains to be spent in fiscal year 26? If any?
Well, it doesn't end in fiscal 26.
Well, how much are you budgeting to spend for the remainder of fiscal year 26?
Spend all of it.
Well, what's your balance, I guess?
Think about half of it, because we spent it on Woodland Street.
So half of the appropriation plus the Chapter 90 money? Is that what you're saying?
No, our appropriation's gone. I had that spent
Okay.
midway through the season.
And that
You talking
was
last year's ATM appropriation?
correct.
Yeah, no, that was gone before we ever even got to Chapter 90.
Okay. And so what was that applied to?
Almost completely to the Wildwood, Harrington Ridge, Bear Hill neighborhood.
Okay.
Some recently just got spent on the crosswalks that got completed down on South Main Street.
With the lights, if
Have
you
you
go
seen the
down
lighted
Route
crosswalks
27.
on South Main at Goulding and Cider Hill?
Goulding and
Oh,
Cider Hill
okay.
There was a grant that came through that paid for all the hardware. But we had to do, the site work. They paid for the install and then,
The curbing, the granite curbing.
there was a lot of work in those two areas to make it,
And it looks nice, by the way.
a real crosswalk with, ADA compliant.
Okay, so the sort of Harrington Ridge, Bear Hill, Wildwood, like most of the town's appropriation was for that. Is that
Yeah.
right? And then some of the other money / Chapter 90 has been allocated toward, or was for that crosswalks, right?
That was annual town meeting money.
Oh, that was still
That's-
100%. Okay.
Yeah, because we had to commit to that before the Chapter 90 ever even got released.
Okay.
So basically, the Chapter 90 money that got released late got spent on Woodland Street,
Woodland.
uh,
Okay.
got spent on preparing Maple Street for chip seal. So we did a shim coat, and we're committed to doing chip seal next spring.
That's I had a question about Maple. I was like, this isn't the way it's gonna stay, right? All right. So
No.
you guys are gonna do the whole
That's
length
the
of
shim
Maple.
coat. Hopefully, it'll hold through the winter, but that road wasn't going to hold through the winter anyway.
Okay.
It fell apart bad last year. So
Right. So in the spring, the rest of Maple.
Chip sealed.
Okay. And anything else you guys can accomplish with the remaining Chapter 90 money?
Oh yeah.
All right. I don't know.
We'll probably time some other chip seal work with that. And then, by then we'll be staging for the next round of Chapter 90. Normally I would have aimed to spend it, but it came through so late.
Right. So what do you think will also be done in the spring?
That's up in the air. I can't get into too many particulars because I haven't even presented to the select board. It's pretty early in the year to slate everything we're going to do. I mean, we still have a priority list.
No. Oh, so the Chapter 90 money, like I know you're sort of using part of it in prep for the spring, but is there anything else in the spring you think you could use with that Chapter 90 money, or are you saying you wait until the winter is over and then you have to look at all?
No, I would think, no. We'll have it probably committed mid to late winter. The
Okay.
select board will sign off on what we do with the rest of it.
So you're saying that the select board, like you bring each road to the select board and say, this is how we want to
Yeah.
expend. And is that because it's the Chapter 90 money as opposed to the capital budget or a capital?
No, because, both. They're the road commissioners.
Okay.
So
So they're ultimately the ones who say this road versus that road.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, you make a presentation, you make a
Exactly.
recommendation, this is how much it's going to probably cost. Okay. So looking forward then at what the needs are for the town, what do you think you'd be recommending to the select board for not only the balance of the Chapter 90 money, but next year's appropriation if the town so votes it?
Well, it's going to be a mix of several other roads that we should chip seal to try to save,
Such as?
such as Maple Street. There's a few others that are good candidates.
This is the stuff that people in town actually really want to know.
Right.
You're being recorded.
And there's some neighborhoods, the rest of the Harrington Ridge neighborhood needs to be treated at some point. But there's a couple other neighborhoods that gotta get attention. Cider Hill's falling apart.
Okay.
And falling apart fast. So we'll see what the winter does and whether or not we can catch it, or if it's just completely destroyed. But the Bog of Stillbrook neighborhood.
Because that's one of the things that I think.
But again, I'm not going to highlight projects and nail.
No, I understand. But I think, it's reassuring to know that there's a plan, a proposal, like a lot of thoughts about it. But also just, I think some of us, me, have thought long and hard that to the extent that this stuff can be somehow put into the operating budget because it's being done every single year, it would be amazing. So we're not borrowing it. But to the extent it is being borrowed, the more it is sort of reconstructing the worst of the roads, I think is oftentimes more persuasive to people when you're saying, hey, we need this money because look at this road. We're not just fine tuning this road.
Yeah.
We have to really get down and rebuild it and stuff like that. Right. So to the extent that that is something that is going to be persuasive to a voter, I think, at town meeting, when you say, hey, Cider Hill Road, you can't drive on it right now. We have to rebuild it. And that I think is helpful and persuasive, perhaps. So
it is, and we want to prevent that.
You want to prevent.
The problem is the easiest sell is the failure of the town to allow that to happen.
Well,
if you lived on Ash Lane right now, you'd say, I'm paying way too much taxes to live on a road that looks like this. And Wildwood Drive people were saying the same thing. There wasn't an agent that listed a house on Wildwood Drive that didn't call me before they list the house and go, are you freaking kidding me? And I'm just pointing Nora's talents to be an agent. She's not one of them. But it was, there's a point where people are like, this is beyond. But then we're spending exponentially more money. And that was a lot.
No, I agree with you. We never should get to that point. But I think the reality is what you're saying is that is happening.
Yep.
And so,
right.
So what I'm suggesting is that in terms of identifying a need, that's a good way to convince people to borrow the money to pay for fixing the road. That is, and part of the process is persuading the town that it's important to do. And so that's part of our questions are, well, what would be the $450,000 spent on?
Right.
And more that can be articulated. And I understand that the road commissioners need to get involved and stuff, but to the extent that you have a plan and sort of we're understanding that your plan is to identify really bad roads that are in Sherborn and get them fixed, the more that you can identify them, either Cider Hill, like you said, or Bog of Stillbrook or something like that. That's helpful for us to understand. Snow Street is bad. There's also this terrible road in Framingham. If they could fix that, Kendall, that would be amazing. But
what about Hunting?
Hunting. The trip to Hunting.
All the way down.
Oh, no, well, the very end we didn't do because even at the time, and still, there was a project that someone was going to propose. Mm-hmm. And if I touch the edge of Hunting Lane where that stone wall is, I'm going to end up with the stone wall on Hunting Lane. Okay. You're talking before the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, but
now I wish I had chip sealed it, but at the time, it seemed reasonable that that project was coming down the pike, so it was...
do you mind if I just on that?
No.
Fred, what about, what happens when they're putting sewer and water down the Coolidge? Are they gonna, what long term? This is out a couple of years.
So,
if that happens.
they'll need to at least restore the road. It's a little different when it's kind of a local initiative than when Eversource Gas comes through and says, we're gonna rip the road up, do a horrible job patching, and then come back in a year and fix it.
Right.
Which is about to happen on Speen Street.
Oh,
For anyone that's driven down Speen Street,
yeah,
wanted to call the chief because it smells like gas. It's been leaking for almost a year. January 5th, actually, they're gonna come and start ripping that up. So they'll owe us fixing that. Of course, I put in the permit that they need to coordinate with us because that same road's gonna have a sewer line going to Natick if that project goes through. So
right,
it'll get ripped up twice, rebuilt once
okay,
on the Speen Street side.
right.
Uh,
Okay, just
So
curious.
there's been other times where they've done a major project. In fact, Coolidge Street got completely rebuilt in 91 or 2 because Eversource reran the gas line all the way down on North Main Street. The entire road got reclaimed and rebuilt on Eversource's stuff. There's not many upgrades like that right now because people have made natural gas out to be the evil. So they're really not doing many upgrades at the moment. There's no expansion in Sherborn either
That was my next question.
on gas.
Yeah,
In fact, Sherborn would probably push pretty hard to not have that.
for natural gas.
Yeah. And I mean, the gas companies had expanded in Sherborn probably as much as they were gonna anyway back in the 80s.
Right,
You know, where is the gas mostly? It's over there where all the neighborhoods are.
yeah.
But not all the way down Old Orchard, apparently.
I don't have an explanation for that. I don't know why.
My understanding is that the road was built kind of in both directions, and the gas only came one direction, and so they never then.
But it's at both ends. There's gas on Maple and there's gas on Washington Street, so it should have
But-
tied through.
But yeah, whomever was building from Maple, I think it's from Maple, Old Orchard in that direction, did not put in gas lines, and so it only comes in from Washington.
It's weird.
I think that's the direction it is.
Yeah, like half of that street has oil and propane.
Yeah.
Half has gas.
But, okay, all right, so other questions about roadway management appropriation request for $450,000? Seeing none, hearing none, anybody on Zoom? No
Nope,
questions,
all good.
all right.
450?
Make it 550 if you want. 450 got put in the plan.
Make a motion to approve $450,000 for roadway management.
Do I see a second of that motion? I do. All right, all in favor of recommending to the town to appropriate $450,000 for the capital budget project of roadway management, say aye or show your support.
Aye.
Aye. We have 3-0 is the vote. All right, so let's talk about the truck. I think that's the other one that
Truck 34?
you suggest is ready for a vote.
One-ton chassis with hook
Yeah, I'm trying to,
loader.
everything abbreviated on my screen. I
You wanna
can't
see it?
find anything. I have it open. There it is. So, I don't know if it was forwarded to you. But along with this, I sent to Jeremy when I put in the request, an updated, the fleet assessment tool. Did you look at that?
I'm not sure
I don't
if
think I
we
got
got
that.
that, to be honest.
I'll make sure you have it. It was developed by the Collins Center years ago, and we hadn't been using it, and I spent myself and Addie spent a bunch of time reloading it, updating the fleet in it, and it's a good tool. It uses some pretty good data, for life, expected life, you input your own data in for anecdotal stuff like, increased cost of maintenance and, real world what you're seeing with the equipment. And then it rates your fleet. It rates each vehicle. And when it hits a certain mark, it's due or overdue. 34 is obviously way overdue. We kind of just hung on to this truck because it keeps running. The body's basically rotting off it. What we decided to do with the kind of the medium fleet, the 1-ton trucks, is we've been purchasing hooks. So you buy a truck, it's a chassis, and then it's basically a hook that you would recognize it as, that's how the dumpster guys unload dumpsters if they're not using a cable. But on these smaller trucks, it's so you can put a different body on it and you can swap bodies. So right now we have 2, and they share the same body. So one, we always have a truck set up with the chipper behind it. So it's got the chipper box, because any given night they're taking that up. So that one of those trucks is always set up like that, except in the middle of a snowstorm. And there's a sander that goes on it. There's several different dump bodies. They look like small dumpsters, but they act like a dump body on the back, and then a flatbed. So we use them a lot. It's a somewhat cheaper way to have it. They make a great plow truck. The following year, you'll see that I loaded. I'm going to buy another sander. So for the 3 trucks, we'll have 2 sanders, and we'll probably buy a sander and another brine sprayer, because right now we dedicate a truck to the brine sprayer all winter. We can't really take it on and off.
Excuse me, what's a brine sprayer?
Salt.
It's in the winter, we spray the roads with a brine solution. We pre-treat before storms. Not every storm, but if we have a cold storm that's definitely not going to rain, we pre-treat the roads. If you drive around, a lot of other towns are starting to do it. We were one of the first of our surrounding towns. Holliston does it a lot. Medway and Franklin are both doing it now. I've seen, if you drive the day before a storm and then you see stripes down the road, that's the town went out and sprayed it. And what the advantage is, you're basically putting the same thing down, but as a liquid, it dries into the road. You can't have a rainy day. You need to have like a clear sunny day, which we often get the day before a snowstorm. And it gets the material down and it sticks, instead of, the state likes to go out and pre-treat with salt. If you've ever seen it, there's this cloud of salt coming off the highways the day before a storm, and everyone's breathing it. But it's not on the road. It's everywhere, but it's in the woods, it's in the wetlands.
Are we using salt? We're using salt though, or no? Is we strictly
Salt's about the only thing that helps snow. So
right? So you pre-treat it with the brine,
and the liquid we buy is a salt solution base, and then it has additives in it, organic additives.
Just in your drinking water. Doesn't really matter.
Right. So that's not on this year's, but I guess I was jumping to something for next year. But
Yeah, no, I was.
the advantage is this chassis will allow us to swap those, share equipment with the other ones. I mean, we're using these trucks daily, all year round.
So just to try to make it clear to perhaps anybody out there watching, when you say a chassis, you're essentially talking about 4 wheels, the bottom frame, and the cab of your, what can then, when you say a 1-ton truck, do you mean a truck that weighs 1 ton?
No.
Or you mean a truck that can carry 1 ton?
It's kind of neither, but it's become a term that we all recognize. The trucks that are basically like the size of a pickup or those small dump trucks. They're referred to as 1 tons. They carry significantly more than a ton now. But that's the terminology everyone uses.
Right.
It's a Ford F-350 or a Ford F-450 or 550. It's not a big Western Star like we ordered or an International.
Right. So you're not talking about something that somebody has to climb up into you're talking about sort of a pickup, large super body pickup. And I should
Yeah.
say use the word body because it's just the chassis,
Yeah.
the cab on top. And then you say a hook in the back, which basically means you can take whatever back you want and stick it on there. So basically, you can put the dump truck type sort of back to it, which you're calling the body,
Yeah,
or you can put some other piece of equipment as the body on the back of it, depending on whatever your use, whatever the utility is going to be for that day's mission, right?
exactly.
All right. So, and looking at the fleet, there was a vehicle that the town voted to appropriate last year, and that was not a 1-ton vehicle, right? So that is what you'd call it.
Correct.
2-ton or deuce and a half. Like, what was the terminology for the larger vehicle that you put the snow plow?
I think we called it a snow fighter.
Snow fighter, right? Okay. So, and that vehicle that was appropriated, and that was to essentially strip out the body because wait, if I'm remembering correctly,
It was
the body,
It was 2 years ago. We rebuilt. We appropriated rebuilding one last year.
right? And that was the chassis, or the engine was good,
Yeah, we're putting a new frame under it.
and you put a new frame under it.
But that's a very big truck.
But because it already had the hook up,
It didn't. We're going to put one on.
all right. So that was basically making it, again, this Swiss Army knife of trucks where you can just swap out the body for whatever different purpose, right? So that was last year's. Where is that, just out of curiosity, in the process?
That's in the frame shop still, getting the frame. I mean, it's a pretty big job.
You're going to get it back before the snow really comes
Not
down?
this year, no.
Okay.
That was never.
No, I'm
Yeah.
curious.
We'll hope to have it for next year because
Okay.
it goes to 2 different places. Gets the frame done, gets painted, gets basically roadworthy again, and then goes to the bodybuilder to get that hook and all the hydraulics
Okay.
put back on.
And so then 2 years ago, you're saying there was
Exactly,
the
we bought a brand new truck,
Brought a-
Western Star.
brand new truck. And again, that would have been the bigger sort of snow fighter
Yeah.
type vehicle. Does that have the hook mechanism?
That did not, no.
Does not. Okay. So how many, there's a reference here that this one is to complement the last 2 1-tons in the fleet.
Exactly.
So there's going to be, after this appropriation, you're saying there's going to be 2
There'll be
1-tons, 3 1-tons in the fleet. And how many of them will have the sort of hook mechanism where you can swap out the
Sorry,
bodies?
there'll be 3 that are hooks.
1-tons.
Yeah, there's more than 3.
Okay, so there's more than, how many 1-ton size trucks are there currently, which I believe it includes this one that you're looking to,
Correct.
all right, so how many are there?
There's 35, 36, 27, 26, and this, we'll call it 34. So there's 5.
So there's-
I mean, you could call my pickup a 1-ton, but we won't for this purpose.
Okay,
There's 5, there still will be 5.
so there are 5 currently, and to fix this one is going to cost approximately $140,000, and that's essentially replacing the body and the frame?
No, the whole truck's going away. Yeah, new truck, new Ford chassis. Did Jeremy forward you the quote?
Yeah, 140,000.
No, we have the request sheet. Oh, wait, is it? No, it's not on the
We don't have
back.
the quote. It just
it didn't come
says,
through with that.
it says quote based on state bids numbers.
All right, so when you say your brand new
Ford
truck,
chassis, new hook, which is, the frame piece that they put on.
does that mean new engine, not new
New
engine?
everything. This is all brand new.
All right, so it's replacing
Replacing 34.
34. Okay.
What do you
And
do with 34?
Auction it, we'll get a couple grand maybe.
Okay, sorry.
And so the new truck 34 only costs $140,000, and that's because it's like a souped up pickup truck essentially.
Yeah. Did you say only?
I know, I heard that too.
Did you
Well-
even say that?
No, I mean, I said only.
This
So,
meeting's being recorded.
so Sean,
I picked it up.
you normally come in and you're requesting things that are much more expensive.
Well, I'll be
So-
honest with you, it took a while to get the quote, because this is early with some equipment, especially in the market the way it is right now. So they have to bake in a model year increase, which obviously Ford's gonna hit them with, and the equipment. And it's a moving target right now with some of the equipment's gonna cost, because needless to say, some of this stuff came from Canada. So they're resourcing a lot of stuff
So what's the,
in the
what's the
States. So
name?
the quote's actually 143, but we're gonna hold it 140, because I can change some of the,
What's the make and what's the make of it? Is it
it's a
a
Ford F600.
Ford? Is that saying it?
So
here?
if I drove in the truck we got before, that you'll recall, took forever to get, because Ford, coming out of COVID, Ford was way behind on building chassis. But it'll look like it's twin.
And what year make it, year? 26 or what's the make,
Yeah, it'll come
year,
through
make
as
and
a
model?
26.
How long would it take to actually receive delivery?
Close to a year, probably.
So from July
We won't have
of
it.
2026, it'd be essentially July of 2027?
Could be.
Okay.
I wish it wasn't.
And
What
are you
color?
able to run truck 34 at all at this point, or?
Yeah, we run it now. We're pretty cautious. If we need to plow, it's because we've broken a couple other ones.
Okay. And so it's, not to say it's serviceable, but you can use it for the next year and a half until you get the new truck.
Yeah, if we need to.
All right. How often does it get used now?
34. Or in the summer, at least a couple times a week, almost daily, because we just need that many vehicles.
Because you have that many people?
Yeah, we're going in that many directions. Even just to go mow, even if the guys are going on mowing, they typically need to pull 2 trailers, because the mowers are pretty big, so.
Can you pull the water truck with this?
What's that?
The water truck?
That's in the back of one of the trucks, yeah.
Okay.
It's basically a truck dedicated to that.
Oh, there is, okay.
So the concern here is a lot of corrosion, et cetera, to the body and the frame. I know that one of the selling points for the wash station was that it would significantly help that.
Yeah,
Um,
this truck predates.
No, I understand,
Building by-
but have you, since the wash station has been up and running for what, a couple of years now? Is that right? Have you noticed sort of less corrosion or on the trucks?
Yeah, definitely. They're in better shape. I mean, he might have a fire engine that didn't need framework had we had it, although it's very difficult to get under those fire engines.
Yeah, well, it's also
Extremely
22 years old, but
Right.
the new trucks, and now, in the last 8 years, the fire department, like the ambulance staff and whoever's there, they have taps where they wash the stuff. I mean, we're down there,
A lot.
we
Probably
wash,
use the wash bay more than we do.
we wash 4 vehicles a week on average there, you know what I mean? They keep them clean so they don't corrode.
Right.
Yeah, it makes a
it's
huge difference in the
huge
storms. I mean, the things we do to trucks, just by the manner of being out doing the snow.
Spraying
it's just-
the salt water
Awful,
all
exactly.
over the place.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, if the roads weren't so salty, I suppose they wouldn't corrode as much.
Right.
Questions?
And this is actually, we've been lucky that the engine's still running, because this is the last of a vintage of horrible engines that Ford built. In fact, that's part of the reason we were in a rush to get rid of the last ambulance, because it had the same motor in it.
Yeah.
It cost us a fortune before we got rid of it.
Where did the numbers come from? We don't have 34 trucks, do we?
No.
How did it get to be truck 34?
We basically start at 20. We do have more than 34 pieces of equipment. I mean, they numbered everything. The sweeper is 29, the loader has a number, the backhoe has a number. We typically, I don't even remember what most of the numbers are, but they're in the database, the maintenance database, to keep track of it. Yeah, I don't know where they came up. I'd have to call one of my predecessors or a selectman a long time ago that came up with it. I don't know.
It's like serial number essentially
Right.
for the town. So Ford, it's a Ford F600.
Yeah.
Does that include also like all the markings that you have to do when you have it like town of Sherborn? And
Yeah,
what
and
color?
the lighting package and everything.
Oh.
It's in the quote. In fact, I'm gonna forward this quote. I can't find anything on it.
To the extent he does send us something and we consider it, we should include it in the
What's
minutes.
that?
Just the notion that we need to include things in the minutes that we rely upon during our meetings. It should be attached to the prior minutes, what we had called Exhibit A and Exhibit B last meeting.
So do you want me to send this to you? That way you
Yes,
can include it?
more information
Yeah.
is better,
Because we don't have anything other than this,
the one sheet.
Right,
yeah.
and now you'll have both.
So, lifetime expectancy on a brand new truck like this is what, 20 plus years?
Yeah, it depends which industry standard you want to go with. We blow right by what most of my counterparts would say. We're easily going past 15. I mean, there's a lot of towns around here that are saying 7 and 10, which is a little nuts.
Did you say 20?
20, yes. I mean, this one's from 2005, and we're in 2025, and it's gonna run still for another year and a half, so.
No one would have put on paper that these things are good for 20 years.
Do you have how much you expended in maintenance, on this truck, or in the last couple of years?
Hold on, let me send this.
Sure.
Glass water.
Let the minutes reflect that Nora is no longer in the room.
What's Nora using for email address?
She is, well,
At mac.com?
correct.
Is that it?
Or actually, why don't you send it to
I don't know why it's coming up with that one.
Nora Sherburn Advisory at gmail.com.
Are you gonna
I don't know
say,
why it's not suggesting that.
Well, that's perhaps a relatively new.
Nora,
Nora Sherburn Advisory, all one word, at
Oh, yeah,
gmail.com.
my new advisory.
Is that your preferred?
Nora
For all
Sherburn
this stuff.
Advisory at, say Gmail?
Gmail.com.
Thank you.
Let's see if it goes.
Nora, I've got you at Nora
Yeah.
Lynch Smith at mac.com?
Right, I'm just migrating over. So I'll still get them
Oh, okay.
for just anything
Should have
advisory.
sent you the, I'm gonna resend
Right.
that to everybody. everybody with the fleet.
For what it's worth, I'm using Laura Sherborn Advisory at gmail.com.
Thank you, Laura. Well, we'll try to migrate everything over to that.
Thanks.
I'll send that over to her now.
Is it Laura Sherburn?
Hold on, I'm gonna add her to, well, no.
I got it. I'll just forward her this.
It's
Laura,
just
can
like
you-
Nora's, except it's with my name, Laura, Laura.
At Gmail.
Laura Sherburn Advisory, okay.
I got it, so. So with
So
this,
Laura Sherman Advisory at Gmail?
Yes.
Laura.
I'm adding in, I'm resending this with the fleet assessment.
And Webster is the place you go to. They're the approved people. This Place Motor Inc.
What's that?
This Thompson Road, Webster, Mass. Fordplace.com.
Place Motor Inc., are they on any
Yes.
sort of state approved list or?
Yeah,
Most of them they
and
are.
that's where the pickup, the two pickups, the one I drive and the other one came from Place. Had I bought 36 from there, I probably would have got it 2 years earlier, but I didn't. There was a lot of turmoil with a lot of stuff when we bought that last truck.
So you talked about having trouble with various trucks in the past. Is this one you think should be problematic if other people reviewed Ford, this type of truck from Ford and it's been okay, or?
Like if I put this into ChatGPT, what would it say?
The truck itself, we had trouble getting the trucks.
No, I thought you said that there's been some duds that have been bought over the years.
Yeah, that was the internationals. That was kind of a blight on the industry because of the emissions standards that changed and changed too rapidly. So the 2012 to like 2017, 18, the entire industry was having trouble with the diesel emissions.
Right, so I guess you feel confident that this is the right type of vehicle, the right brand, the right make for this purpose in terms of
Yeah, I do.
what?
I do, and I can tell you, it's going to be very much like the one we just bought, and we're very happy with it.
Other questions that people have about this one?
And according to you, it's very inexpensive.
I didn't say it was inexpensive. I was just surprised at how small the request was.
So ChatGPT says, so 143,923 lands in the upper middle of what I'd expect. It includes the actual plow plus sander spreader and their installation. Does it? No.
I don't think so.
Not the sander, but plow,
The plow, okay.
light package.
And or heavier duty swamp loader model. That just sounds fun.
You know,
I'm
Nora-
surprised you use chat, not Grok.
Nora, that has to be part of the minutes now, though.
Okay,
So just, you have to email it to
I'll email it.
Corey.
Not every discussion has to be part of the minutes. Or your minutes would be 12.
No, any document that we
Oh.
reference is supposed to be part of
Okay, I
the
will
meeting
put
minutes.
that section of the document in there.
So the whole thing. I apologize. Like, we
Okay.
just have to put the whole thing in.
Fine. Not a problem.
CC Lincoln at Verizon.net.
Okay, I mean, we're just doing our job.
No, it's just the open meeting law requires it.
Sorry. Put the whole thing in there, copy. I'll send it to you right now.
So any motions on this? Laura, any questions? All right, so Corey is moving that we recommend to the town the appropriation
Of
of
only $140,000
$140,000.
for a one-ton chassis with hook loader.
Anyone want to second that?
Second.
So all in favor of recommending to the town the appropriation of $140,000 for the capital expenditure of a one-ton chassis with hook loader, say aye or signal your approval. Aye, 3-0. Okay, so those are the ones I think that we're probably prepared to vote on tonight. I would like to cover briefly, if we can, and then I do want to maybe adjourn because it's already been over 2 hours at this point. Why don't we talk about sort of open appropriation items that we haven't talked about yet? So I think we talked about the truck, but in terms of either that all of the dollars haven't been spent or none of the dollars have been spent on any project, if you could identify any open appropriations and what the status of the project is.
So the stormwater, is that what you're referring to? That's what-
No, I think so Deb does a nice job of sending us the sort of record of what balances there are on projects and stuff. And
Yeah.
so from seeing that, my understanding is that means there's some appropriations that are open, and which would translate into some project either was completed and there's a balance, huzzah, came on under budget, or it just hasn't been completed yet. So I just want to try to figure out what a status check is on any sort of open projects. The truck, I think you provided that status update, that it's in the shop and et cetera, et cetera. So didn't know if there was anything else you could shed light on some of the other open appropriations.
I'm trying to find Deb's sheet, of course.
The last one I believe that she sent around was probably dated as of November 30th, 2025, and sent it around on December 2nd to some of us, which Corey, I believe you have, since we're now referencing a document we'll have to put in the meeting minutes.
Couple articles. I don't know why my Outlook didn't want to find that one. I typed Deb
Correct.
Seafried
Would it
Capital.
be 12/2? I'm sorry, what was the date of it?
So I believe it was sent on December 2nd, but it's the document itself, the title says Capital Articles, November 30th, 2025. So I think it's as
This one
of
right
date.
here?
Sounds like this.
Let's go through the list. DPW Western Ave calming. So anyone that's driven on Western Ave has seen that we did several things in the past couple of months. We built 11 islands along the center of the road. That's still kind of an ongoing process.
Can you refresh that that came from down the road, that was money that was pretty much appropriated
Well,
for?
it loosely defined
Just for the
as,
record, traffic calming.
I mean, it technically, for the record, came from free cash, I think. Yeah. So off the record, kind of, you can loosely say that came from proceeds that came from Odessa.
Right.
because Odessa has a special permit, so there's money that comes every year for their special permit. And the intent, 20-something years ago when the planning board first granted it, was that that money would be used for a list of things, most of which have to do with traffic throughout town, but obviously, most heavily hit on Western Ave, traffic associated with Odessa.
Okay.
With either the volume or car carriers, et cetera.
Thank you.
So
I'd just like to,
Yeah, the current balance says about $36,000, so approximately a little less than half. Do you envision additional work, or do you think that satisfies and you essentially came under budget?
No, there's still additional work. There may be more islands put in next year. We're doing that. We bought some equipment so that we could do it to help reduce the cost and, make it more feasible to make adjustments. It's a little bit harder to do when you hire a contractor to come in and blast them out and you
Right.
didn't like that.
Or repairs when the snow plow accidentally clips one or something.
That'll be probably repairs to the plow, but and there's also some of this number is slightly dated because in this warrant right now, there's some bills coming in for the installation work. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's 2 speed feedback signs now. We bought those signs; they were already paid for a while ago, but now they've been installed.
Are those effective at slowing people down when they see their own speed?
I think they are. They also, people don't realize it, but they track the data too. So we get usable data out of that, both on road counts and speed. So they'll be a lot more effective there. The 2 in downtown were part of a Complete Streets grant. So that dictated where they went. Those aren't the greatest spots, especially as you come by Butler Street. It's picking your speed up, quarter mile away. So it's yelling at everyone and telling them they're bad
or naughty.
naughty. Except me. I pull on a Butler Street and I'm always good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it has a good effect on my kids who
Yeah.
notice what those signs say.
Right.
All right, so some more work to be done, some more bills that just need to be put in.
Yeah.
The public water supply treatment, this was from town meeting in 25, and that's $100,000 was appropriated of free cash, and it appears that balance is still 100,000.
Right. And that project, that's for PFAS treatment, intended for both this building and the chief's building. This is a public water supply. The fire station is not, but nonetheless it needs PFAS treatment. That project, we've taken that through design. The designers have completed what they need to do to get approval from DEP to do what's called a long-term pilot study. They basically put the specs out, the companies, and we developed an RFP. So we'll advertise, hopefully this month, we'll advertise an RFP, request for proposals. There's a couple different companies that'll bid on, they'll basically spec the equipment to what the designers have come up with for a need, and then install it. And then that actually commences, that starts the pilot study. DEP will allow you to start up, you're using the water, and you basically prove out your system while you're using it, because they can make modifications to the filters once they're in. So we hope that'll be this spring, really.
So
Go ahead.
I was going to jump down to stormwater, and there's 2 entries. So there's one from town meeting 23 and town meeting 24. The source of funds is GOB. This is for town meeting 23. GOB in August of 24. And if I understand correctly, that means the money has been borrowed at this point. Is that right? And the balance of the $170,000 appropriation is approximately $159,000. I don't know if Deb is still on this meeting, but that's what I'm interpreting GOB to mean, is that it has been borrowed.
Yeah, that's correct. It was borrowed in August of 2024.
And Deb, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but going forward, is it possible to add a column of interest accrued on any of the borrowed amounts? Or is that too complicated?
I think that might be a little too complicated, just because like some of it's been borrowed but then spent. I could give it a try.
It's also interest earned, remember.
That's hard to do if some of it's been spent.
Yeah, I think we might be getting into the weeds just because interest is accrued, but yeah, we've also earned interest on the money, so it's kind of a wash at this point in time. Pam, wouldn't you say the interest rates that we're paying is about the same interest rates that we're earning?
I'd have to go back and, check each bond because they're all different.
Mhm.
But on this one, though, we've also spent some money too, right?
$7,000, I think.
Okay, so not a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, we can chat more about trying to understand what the impact would be on interest at some other time. I don't want to waste everyone's time here.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me think about it a little bit. Pam and I can talk about it tomorrow.
that sounds good.
Okay, so 2 town votes for appropriating stormwater. I know this has been sort of in flux. And I know that there's at least a placeholder on the plan for this year.
I pushed it out.
Right, well, I guess it's still there. So you're saying that,
This year zeroed out, is it not?
I thought there was, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong sheet. I thought there was still an amount.
No, there's not an ask for this year.
Farm pond stormwater and access improvements?
That's a different one.
Okay, so this is not farm pond
Correct.
stormwater. Okay. All
But
right,
we should keep talking about this. So
Sure,
the
please.
update, a couple things changed. One, this is an annual permit with the EPA. And up until last year, the purpose of this article was to pay for the consulting and any work associated with that permit. What was decided, one change was decided, let's determine what the annual permit is and that carrying cost, and we're gonna put that in the operating budget. So we did that last year, and we'll continue to do that. Rather than drawing down off of a capital article, we put, of course I'm caught off guard, it's either 40 or 50,000 that we said, this is what it costs annually to keep renewing the permit. The consultants, the work that we do. Outside of that is a tiered set of requirements that we have for phosphorus reduction, and we've talked about that over the years. That was somewhat in flux. A lot of the work up till now has been the consulting side of how are we going to reduce our phosphorus load to the Charles River. And we could go on for hours, and I'm not the best person to actually preach on that, but there's structural things we'll have to do. You recognize like the stormwater basin we put at Pine Hill, that needs to get modified so that it reduces phosphorus better. There's other structural things, they call them BMP, best management practices, but they refer to it as a physical thing. Like the manholes in the road, they also make different water quality pieces. We have one at the highway garage, there's actually one here. They're pretty expensive, but they now make them to retrofit just for phosphorus reduction. Part of the plan is to put one of those behind the gas station because we have a huge outfall that goes into the woods there. That stuff's gonna be expensive. It's gonna be expensive to work in some of these areas. So the plan was into its like third and fourth year and headed towards, okay, now it's time to do real surveying, real engineering, and get ready to be putting construction contracts together. The EPA has another update. They're calling it the 2024 update for the permit. It slightly changes what we have to do for phosphorus reduction. Before, and we've talked about this before, I don't know if you remember, not the entire town of Sherborn is regulated by the MS4 permit. It's kind of a weird thing because we're like right on the cuff with our population. So every 10 years we go through a census. They took that census, and I can't even make heads or tails of how it got divvied up, but they basically drew a map through downtown and a couple of other pockets. Parks Drive's one of them, where we just hit the threshold, that became a regulated area. So up till now, they calculated how much phosphorus we have to remove based on that area. We chose to use that area, not the entire Charles River watershed. This entire requirement is because we're in the Charles River watershed, which is deemed an impaired waterway. Therefore, everyone that's in the Charles River watershed has to reduce their phosphorus. The new permit is mandating that we have to use the entire Charles River watershed, which is basically everything except the far end of Coolidge Street and the low end of Western Ave. That all goes to the Sudbury River, but almost everything else in town is Charles River watershed. So it gave us a broader area to work on, but we have to remove more phosphorus, almost 3 times more. I still make the case that it still saved us money. I lost that argument a couple of years ago because we chose to go one direction, but the EPA is now telling us you got to go that direction anyway. So we met with the engineers, and they're basically going to kind of redevise the plan, look at other places. Farm Pond is a great area to do stormwater improvement, not just different than that path. It's 2 slightly different things, but there's other improvements we can make up near the top of the boat ramp, over near there's a fire hydrant, there's a rain garden in there. And of course, anything we do for stormwater and the Charles River, if we do it near the Farm Pond, it's good for Farm Pond. And as we know, Farm Pond water quality has been taking a hit lately. So we're in the process. We met with the engineers. They kind of developed the scope of what this year is going to look like. That'll take a big chunk of, those past appropriations into this year, redeveloping the phosphorus reduction plan and getting some of the designs to close to construction ready. So that's why I took this year's appropriation, pushed it because we have the money and bumped up. I think I bumped up next year and the year after on the out years knowing that we're going to be required to be into construction and doing some of this work now because we have staged targets.
Yeah, you put in fiscal year 28, 250, 29, 200, 30, 125,000 in the plan.
I think I bumped next year's up. I took what was in it.
So there's nothing in
something this year.
Yeah, there's nothing in fiscal 27.
Right.
Sorry, I was confusing the stormwater facilities management at Farm Pond with this prior stormwater, and you're saying they're ultimately could be similar, but that they're not exactly the same.
Right.
Okay. So does that mean, well, I guess who's going to be the person presenting on the Farm Pond stormwater facilities? Do you know? It's listed as a select board project.
Probably me.
But
Jeremy put it in, I think. I don't know who put that in. I'll definitely be there. I can present it if Jeremy wants me to. More than happy to.
Do we even have a? It's in the plan, but maybe we don't have a
We don't have a request.
specific sheet for it, which can happen.
I saw a handwritten one somewhere.
The handwritten one, what do we
I think it
have?
was in Jeremy's.
Is Jeremy's handwriting, but it also lists you, but it's for pathway renovations.
Right. So, I can talk about it now if you want. I didn't bring anything with me either.
No, I mean,
So what are the pathway renovations? Is that,
What is it?
yes,
So we took ARPA money from a couple of years ago and hired engineers. I mean, you've all been to Farm Pond. The path leading from the parking lot that goes up, starting from the point where it stops climbing and heads down to the beach.
that lookout area?
No, not the lookout, not the new
Middle
lookout,
one,
the
okay. The middle.
old path that no one even knows how long ago was put in. That entire area creates a massive amount of erosion on
Yeah,
the beach.
washes it, yeah.
And really hinders the quality of the water quality in that area. So, to do anything there, obviously, it's, got to go through DEP. So, we hired the engineers to develop a plan, which we've done, and presented both to Concom and the select board to basically remove that path. You'll remember that path actually wides off so that we can double how much stormwater we dump onto the beach. So one part of the design is to get rid of half of that Y. We'll keep the section going down, but it's going to be tiered with stairs, drainage to that, the inside of the triangle. Which is, there's already basically a rain garden in there that was supposed to capture the water and treat it behind that stone wall, but most of it just runs down the path. The path acts like a gutter and just takes the water. And then, obviously what you won't see is adjacent to the path, there'll be swales and then stormwater structures built into it with Cultec chambers that you see in a septic or whatever. There's already some on the beach now. We're going to utilize those. No one knows they're there, but they're under there. And then more up on the hill. So it was kind of a lengthy process to get that design nailed down, get it through DEP, which it's been through once. We had to make some modifications. So it's basically permit ready now with no funding.
how long would it take to do the construction?
Start to finish, probably a couple months. We got to do an off season, obviously.
Right.
So October?
Yeah, it really needs to be done like October, and then you finish the plant. You got to replant that whole area, so you may not get that planted for the winter. You probably just stabilize it, plant early spring, but the construction will be done. The machines will be out of there.
Okay, seems, I'm not sure if we'd have many more questions, but we should just, I don't know if at some meeting Jeremy wants to talk to about it too or something like that, but we'll probably leave that one open, not vote on it tonight, although I think that answered a lot. Is there,
Yeah, I think you should, because I can at least get you the plans.
I was gonna say, do you have the report from the consultant with the plans, and you said it wasn't fully signed off by DEP yet, or?
Yeah, the plans are done.
But, so DEP has signed off on the proposal?
I don't think the final,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I mean, to include the plans, just so you have the pictures.
No, I that would be very
They're not
helpful.
gonna change. I mean, if they change, it's not gonna be substantial. I think
Right.
it's worth putting them in there
Yeah, no,
for your
100%,
next meeting, so you have that.
right.
It's not an amount. And the
200,000?
200, Right under, it says pathway, right under pathway, it says 200K.
Oh,
And that was a number, the engineers developed that number.
Do you think it's a good number? Like
The
a
engineers developed that number.
reliable number?
It's hard to tell what's reliable. It's a more reliable number than I would have come up with.
Does that include the planting, blah, blah, all that? We don't know.
Yeah, it's the full yeah.
It is?
It's the full
Okay.
project, it has to be.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I think we should reserve discussion of town buildings to another night.
Anyone that can should come early to the select board's meeting. I say early, it's starting at 6:30, and I think it's the second item
Thursday.
this Thursday.
I'll try and make that. Yeah.
All right, so to the extent that, Sean, you want to hear this discussion, the next item on sort of our agenda is talking about when our next meeting is and what we think might be covered at our next meeting. Chief has been hanging out for his own edification all night long, but I mean, you're welcome to stay too, but I was thinking that our next meeting would be in January. Is anybody opposed to skipping over to the next couple of weeks in December?
Not at all.
Great. So probably the 13th would be the next Tuesday that I would sort of propose. I don't know if that is
I can do that.
okay. And the items that we sort of haven't covered yet, schools being one, and there's, a couple of big items there for the schools. There's the IT, which is a capital project, at least as proposed this year. There's the elevator replacement and elder housing. There's the farm pond stormwater and access improvements, and maybe just with the plans and everything like that, we could probably take a vote on that. Police would need to come back, and maybe they can amend their vehicle number there. I'm not sure if Jameson and the rec department would be ready that early in January. And then the Board of Assessors and their computer-assisted mass appraisal system replacement. So I think what makes sense is I can ask the schools, Dawn, if they would be ready on the 13th.
yeah, I think, don't they have some regular meeting on Tuesday night that we ran into last year?
Yeah.
And they also were gonna wait until after their January meeting to approve their requests, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, so one of these is a roof skylight restoration and planetarium removal at the high school. I'm not sure if it'd be helpful to have them speak more than once on that. I mean, it's $927,000, so maybe not, but I'll see what their timeline is.
Okay.
But yeah, it might mean that they're not ready by June 13th. Oh, did I say June?
Yeah.
Oh, January.
Just have to correct you.
You saying that's Freudian or something? So, Sean, I don't know what your calendar is looking like. Do you think that the various projects about town facilities by January 13th would be kind of nailed down, or do you think they would still be in flux?
No, it's pretty well nailed down.
Okay.
There's basically one more sheet that I'm gonna add to the presentation he's gonna do tomorrow that pretty much finalizes what you need to see.
All right. So it's entirely possible that Maybe there's some of these individual proposals, we can aggregate them, maybe do DPW as well. Maybe the schools might have to be pushed to later in January.
The thing on the schools, that if Dawn's all right with it, I could present the water tank at Pine Hill. What's that on there for a total?
300.
Yeah, it's going up.
So
It's 500.
sounds like it's in flux.
Huh?
Sounds like it's in flux
What is the water tank? I don't know.
for water.
It's a big, massive water tank in the middle of the boiler room that's got,
It's in, okay.
it's gotta go. There's two reasons it has to go. One was DEP was gonna mandate it, get a significant amount of work done on it. But it also needs to go to get out of the way for PFAS treatment, so.
Okay. 500? Yeah. $500,000.
That's an engineer's estimate too. I think I got a $100,000 grant coming, but I haven't heard word on it yet.
Where's it going?
And what is it? Can you explain to me? There's like all different versions of water tanks, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, is it a
It's
holding
a
tank?
5,000 gallon steel water tank.
Holding tank.
Sitting in the
okay.
middle, yeah. It's half the size of this room, it's huge.
And the well is right outside. I
The
mean,
well's right behind the school.
okay.
I'll present it then.
All right.
If
I'm
Dawn's
sorry.
okay
It just my mind is blown. $500,000. The holding tank.
Well, it's not $500,000 for the tank. The tank needs to come out and get replaced with another tank, pumps.
Well, yeah. I mean,
a lot of equipment. And PFAS equipment.
It says half the size of the room though.
It's not half the size of the room. It's half the size of one half of this room. It's big.
You know, they take a wall out in order to get it out, or you
No.
just cutting it apart?
It's an interior room.
So you just have to cut it apart,
It's gotta get cut into
Oh
place.
my
Cut into
gosh.
pieces.
and then
Where's the new one go?
they weld it in. The new one gets welded together.
The new one will be something much smaller.
it just will pump more. It will just take more.
There's different
The
ways
well
to
has
do it
to
now.
pump.
Well, the well still doesn't pump more. You do it with variable speed pumps.
Okay. It's kind of a
Back then, that's how they did it. You pumped in, and then you had an air compressor, and you pumped air. So you had a 5,000 gallon tank, and it only had 2,000 gallons of water.
Okay.
The rest is air, because it's a pneumatic tank. We don't do things like that anymore.
Interesting.
But you can imagine there's other things that need to happen when you're cutting something apart that was put in there in the 50s that I won't bother elaborating on.
Okay. So, just people, member of the committee's calendars, as we like to do things on Tuesday nights, are there particular conflicts with either the 20th or 27th? I know the 13th is good, but does anyone see anything on the 20th or 27th on your calendars?
27th is not good for me.
Okay. Can I make a note of that?
I suppose I could do it remote, but if it's a question between the 20th and the 27th,
Okay.
take the 20th.
And Laura, if you're still hanging in there, do you, I don't know if she is actually.
No, I'm here. I'm looking at my calendar.
She's here.
Between the 20th and 27th, you said?
Yeah, or just whether or not either of those dates were feasible.
They look, both of them at the moment look feasible.
And I could dial in remote.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's all the business I had.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do I see a second? All in favor? Aye. And one abstaining? 3-0. All right, thank you very much. This concludes our meeting on December 16th of the Capital Budget Committee of Sherborn. approximately 9:37 PM. I am now going to adjourn and disconnect. Thank you all for providing us all this information and hanging in there, answering our questions to the end. Apologies for the duration of the meeting. Good night, all.
Good night.
Night.